by Ningbing and I have never liked each other. She hated how pale I looked, saying I looked like a pretty boy. I said she had a terrible temper, like a raging tigress. We traded insults for more than a decade. That continued until our graduation year, when a transfer student confessed his feelings to her. By Ningbing, I like you. Will you give me a chance? By Ningbing turned and glanced at me, then looked away. She smiled faintly. Sure. Let's give it a try. Wang Dateng's eyes widened in surprise. His voice trembled with excitement. Really? Bai Ningbing nodded. You're easygoing, and you're handsome. I like you quite a lot. I clenched my fists tightly, my fingertips trembling anxiously. I heard people around us cheering and teasing. Bai Ningbing, so Wang Dateng is your type. We all thought you liked Yuan. Bai Ningbing chuckled softly, giving me an almost imperceptible sit-along glance. Who likes him? His mouth is vicious, and all he does is insult people. Besides, look at his face. He's prettier than most girls, so delicate and girlish. He doesn't make anyone feel safe. Laughter exploded all around me. I stood frozen in place, feeling ice cold all over. In my previous life, at this very moment, Bai Ningbing rejected Wang Dateng and told everyone that she liked someone like me. My heart had been racing so fast, it felt ready to leap out of my throat. That night, under the covers, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. The next morning, I went downstairs with dark circles under my eyes. Bai Ningbing happened to be at the stairs. She looked me up and down. Fang Yuan, were you out robbing houses last night? I shot back with an insult, and she flashed me a sweet smile. After that, we grew closer and closer. After graduation, she confessed her feelings to me. You may have a sharp tongue and a delicate face, but I kind of like you, kid. Want to be my boyfriend? Who would want to be your boyfriend? She covered her mouth and laughed, saying I'd used that tough-talking act since childhood. We went to college together, walking in the rain like any other couple, and kissing beneath the setting sun. We married after graduation, and had a son and a daughter. Over the years, we bickered constantly. The worst silent treatment lasted a month. Neither of us spoke to the other, but whenever someone thought we were about to split up, Bai Ningbing would pout and fire back. What do you know? This is how my husband and I have fun. Then she turned to me and coaxed me with a playful grin. Isn't that right, honey? She argued with me right up until her final moments, saying she'd find someone gentle and handsome in her next life. I thought she was only saying it in anger. I never expected her to mean it. I pulled myself back to the present and looked up at Bai Ningbing. I tugged at the corner of my mouth. You say that as if I liked you. Even if you threw yourself at me, I'd still find you irritating. Then I walked out of the classroom without looking back. I ran into the restroom and splashed icy water over my face at the sink. Droplets soaked my collar. I stared at my 18-year-old face in the mirror. This wasn't a dream. Bai Ningbing and I had both returned to age 18. Only this time, she didn't plan to choose me again. Once I calmed down, I slowly returned to the classroom. Wang Dateng was sitting in my seat, laughing and chatting with Bai Ningbing. Get out of my seat. I told him to sit here. He's my boyfriend now. Of course he should sit beside me. You can sit over there. When we were assigned seats, she had shamelessly insisted on sitting beside me. She had just grinned. Your tongue is so vicious. I'm afraid you'll bully someone. So, I guess I'll have to make the sacrifice. I shook my head. Without saying a word, I simply walked straight to Wang Dateng's old seat and picked up my school bag. Under everyone's astonished gaze, I walked to the back row. What's Fang Yuan doing? Is he going to sit with Shang Xinqi? He wants to sit with Shang Xinqi. Shang Xinqi might not even agree. Bai Ningbing frowned as well and looked toward me. I tapped on the desk. The girl lying on the desk slowly lifted her eyelids and looked at me. Her gaze was distant, with a trace of irritation at being disturbed. Can I sit here? She paused, then closed her eyes and went back to sleep. She completely ignored me. I pulled out the chair and sat down. Whispers continued all around us until the bell rang and silence returned. I took out my books, but my thoughts remained restless. My gaze drifted toward Bai Ningbing despite myself. She rested her face in both hands, her eyes fixed on Wang Dateng's profile. The corners of her lips curved slightly, her good mood impossible to conceal. She used to watch me like that during class. Fang Yuan, do you know when you're most charming? When you pay attention in class and don't talk. Even after we got together, she still loved looking at me that way. Fang Yuan, I really want to kiss you. After we married, she still loved looking at me the same way. Honey, in this life, the next life, and every life after that, I want to be with you forever. I came back to myself and refused to keep remembering. Then I suddenly noticed a packet of tissues on my desk. I lowered my eyes and saw a small blurred mark spreading across my textbook. Shang Xinqi had already withdrawn her hand and wasn't looking at me. Her voice was quiet and gloomy. Why are you crying? You're a grown man. Anyone who didn't know better would think I bullied you. Across to lifetimes. I had technically lived 100 years. Yet I was shedding tears in front of an 18-year-old girl. I no longer had room for sorrow. I only wanted to crawl into a hole. After school that afternoon, Ningbing came over. Her tone was indifferent. Go home by yourself. I'm going on a date with Wang Dateng. After taking the steps, she turned back to remind me. Don't tell my parents I'm dating someone. With that, she linked arms with Wang Dateng, unable to suppress the smile on her lips. I'll take you to a place with amazing Oden. That Oden shop was Ningbing's favorite. She used to drag me there every day after school, but now she'd found someone new to take there. After spending the afternoon miserable, I finally came to my senses. Even if she had once loved me faithfully and never let me down, that belonged to my previous life. I should let go, look ahead, and move on. So I turned to my aloof deskmate. Want to get Luosifen together. I know a place that makes incredible Luosifen. Shang Xinchi gave me a baffled glance, then picked up her school bag and silently walked past me. She casually tossed out one sentence. Are we close? Wait. Why isn't this going the way I imagined? After being coldly rejected by this aloof young woman, I left school alone and found it strangely unfamiliar. Ever since kindergarten, I had always gone home with Ningbing. Later, in college, I took her back to her dorm every day. Later, after we married, she came to wait for me outside my office every day, and we'd go home together. How could someone who loved me so much change overnight? The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I kicked a pebble beside me into the air and cursed her as a heartless bitch. The pebble flew straight and struck the person ahead. She stopped abruptly, then slowly turned around. Shang Xinchi held her shoulder, her brows slightly furrowed. She looked a little annoyed, but her voice wasn't harsh. Who are you cursing? I opened my mouth, my mind racing. Then, with a perfectly serious face, I pointed at the stray dog beside us. The large yellow dog, was lying by the wall. It gave me an innocent look and wagged its tail. The corners of Shang Xinchi's lips curved. You cursed at it and attacked it too. What a coincidence that you hit me by mistake. It was just a reflex, not an intentional kick. She walked back and stopped in front of me. She tilted her face up to look at me. Fang Yuan. You weren't cursing me, were you? I quickly waved my hands. No. I was cursing Ningbing, really. She fell silent for a moment, her expression unreadable. What did you curse her for? For being a heartless bitch. So Ningbing dumped you, and you called her a cheater, then accidentally hit me with a pebble? I was speechless. From my perspective, I really had been dumped. The moment I realized I'd been reborn, I was so happy I could have jumped for joy. Not only could I see Ningbing again, I could also spend another lifetime loving her. But who could have imagined that she was happily eating Oden with her sweet, handsome young boyfriend? I took a deep breath. What do you mean? She dumped me. We were never even together. Besides, she's heartless and faithless. She forgot her vows and betrayed our friendship. I'd never like a woman like her. Shang Xinchi suddenly chuckled. Then why didn't you apologize after hitting me? I immediately lowered my head and admitted my mistake. I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to. Should we go to the nurse's office? No. Your apology is enough. She turned and walked away, and I followed as if under a spell. How about I buy you dinner to make up for it? That Luosifen place is really good. Without turning around, she stopped and sighed softly. Fine. You lead the way. So, we happily finished our Luosifen, then went on to devour fried chicken and grilled skewers. The gloom Ningbing had caused finally began to lift. After eating and drinking our fill, we walked into the neighborhood. I immediately saw Ningbing sitting on the stone bench by the entrance. A packed serving of Oden sat beside her. When she saw me return, she stood up and addressed me coldly. Fang Yuan, don't you know the way home? Why did it take you so long? I ignored her and walked around her toward home. As I passed her, I said casually, I went to eat with Shang Xinchi. It took a little longer. Someone suddenly grabbed my school bag. Ningbing's disbelieving voice came from behind me. What did you say? You went to eat with Shang Xinchi. You barely know her. Why would you eat with her? I shook off her hand and said coldly, what's it to you? Ningbing gave a cold laugh. Fang Yuan, you've gotten bold, haven't you? What haven't I taken care of for you since we were children? You couldn't even wipe yourself after using the bathroom in kindergarten. I had to teach you. When you developed more slowly, and other kids bullied you, I was the one who drove them away. She launched into an impassioned tirade. Watching her furious expression, I suddenly found it a little amusing. Who I eat with is my choice. You and I are just neighbors. Don't be so possessive. With all this time, why don't you go spend hours chatting on the phone with your gentle, handsome boyfriend? Fang Yuan, keep telling yourself that. I agreed to date Wang Dateng only because I cut her off and spoke first. I know. Because he's sweet-tempered and handsome. I went out to eat with Shang Xinchi because she's beautiful and makes me look good. She also has a great figure. Unlike you, you've got the body of a child. Ningbing lowered her eyes and said nothing, but the mood around her grew heavy. I ignored her, turned, and walked away. My heart still felt pinned down by a massive stone. As expected, facing my wife from my previous life made it impossible to truly let go. In a daze, I made it to the next day. The moment I entered the classroom, I saw, on my desk, a cup of hot soy milk and a sandwich. They were exactly the sweetness and flavor I liked. Wang Dateng stood beside my desk, smiling gently. His voice carried a hint of embarrassment. Fang Yuan, Ningbing bought too much breakfast. You can have this one. Before I could reply, Ningbing's voice drifted over from behind me. Dateng, why waste your breath on him? Just leave it there. It's up to him whether he eats it. She walked over and put a straw into the other cup of soy milk. She held it out to Wang Dateng. Have this one. It's sweetened. It's the sweetness you like. Wang Dateng scratched his head and took it, the tips of his ears turning red. The students around us began to hoot. Wow, goddess. How did we never realize you were such a flirt? Ningbing raised the corners of her lips smugly and gave me an almost imperceptible glance. That depends on who I'm flirting with. Was that a provocation? Just looking at them annoyed me. I reached out and tossed the soy milk and sandwich into the trash. The smile on Ningbing's face instantly froze. But they still didn't stop by lunchtime. I had barely sat down with my tray when they took the seats diagonally across from me. Ningbing placed a rib from her plate into Wang Dateng's bowl. Her voice was incredibly gentle, like a caring older sister. You're too thin. Eat more. You need to eat more if you're going to protect me. Wang Dateng smiled shyly. That's too much. I can't finish it. Ningbing's eyes curved, her voice soft. I'll eat whatever you can't finish. It's not like I haven't eaten what you've eaten before. As soon as she said that, everyone at the nearby tables looked over. Ningbing, you two are moving incredibly fast. Exactly. I'm jealous already. My grip tightened around my chopsticks until my knuckles turned white. In my previous life, Ningbing also liked eating what I had eaten. I was a picky eater, and she always accused me of wasting food. Though she complained incessantly, she would pick food from my bowl and savor it. I lowered my head and forced down mouthful after mouthful of rice. I desperately swallowed the bitterness in my throat. Ningbing suddenly looked up at me. Her voice held a hint of mockery. Fang Yuan, why are you eating alone? Where's that beautiful desk mate with the great figure? Why isn't she keeping you company? None of your damn business. If your mouth's bored, chew the bones on your plate. She smiled and turned to Wang Dateng. See, I told you his tongue was vicious. He's nowhere near as gentle as you. As soon as she finished speaking, Shang Xinqi walked over with her tray and sat across from me. Soft whispers rose around us. Since when has Fang Yuan been so close to Shang Xinqi? I don't know. Haven't they only been desk mates for a day? Shang Xinqi acted as if those people didn't exist. She picked up some greens with her chopsticks and put them in her mouth, then chewed slowly. Ningbing's expression changed. She slammed her chopsticks onto her tray. HMPH. I'm done eating. This is really killing my appetite. She picked up her tray and walked away. Wang Dateng hurried after her. Everyone in the cafeteria turned to look at me. I finished my meal without changing expression. Before saying thank you to Shang Xinqi, she wiped her mouth, her tone still cool. You owe me a meal this time. Didn't I just buy you dinner yesterday? One meal cancels one meal. Are you trying to get out of paying? I stared at her speechlessly. Why does she keep such a strict tally? But when I thought about it, she really had helped me save face. Fine. I'll treat you another day. After school, I ran into Ningbing at the school gate. She stood alone against the wall, a bottle of water in hand. When she saw me come out, she immediately straightened up. Fang Yuan. I didn't stop walking. She jogged after me and blocked my path. What do you want? She hesitated for a long while. Before asking why I wasn't taking the bus today, I casually said I was walking home to get some exercise. Then I'll walk with you. No need. Go see your little boyfriend off instead. She was caught off guard and looked away. She said Wang Dateng had something to do and had already left. I ignored her and kept walking, but she couldn't stay quiet for more than 3 seconds before following behind me and bombarding me with questions again. Since when have you been so close to Shang Xinqi? You've only been desk mates for 2 days, and you've already had 2 meals together. Fang Yuan, don't tell me you've fallen for her. The more she spoke, the more agitated she became. Someone like Shang Xinqi isn't easy to get along with. She wears a cold expression all day, as if someone owed her millions. Hearing her judge Shang Xinqi like that only made me feel she was overstepping. I stopped abruptly, and she nearly walked into my back. Ningbing, what are you really trying to say? She stood silently in the dusk for a long while before speaking softly. Stay away from her. I'd known her for 2 lifetimes. I could tell at a glance that she was jealous, but she was the one who chose someone else first. What right do you have to say that? Mind your own business and stay out of mine. Ningbing's face darkened instantly. I turned and kept walking. All I heard was her furious shout behind me. Fine, Fang Yuan. I won't interfere anymore. Don't regret it. When I reached my front door, my phone buzzed. Shang Xinqi sent for words. Breakfast tomorrow. I replied with a question mark. She quickly sent another message. You owe me a meal. Bring me breakfast tomorrow. She really was determined to settle every meal one for one. I replied, got it, and had just slipped my phone into my pocket when I heard my mother say, Ningbing's mother invited us to her house for dinner tomorrow. I changed into my slippers and refused without even looking up. I'm not going. What's wrong? Did you two fight again? No. I just don't want to see her. My mother laughed, thinking I was only saying that in anger. After all, Ningbing and I had seen each other almost every day since childhood, but now, every time I saw her, I felt miserable. I went into my room and closed the door. Then I leaned helplessly against it. The moment I closed my eyes, I saw the Ningbing from my previous life. She had accompanied me to school every day and waited for me to walk her back to her dorm in college. After we married, she would wait for me outside my office so we could go home together. But all of that belonged to my previous life. My phone buzzed again. Shang Xinqi added 3 more words. Add an egg. I smiled helplessly and finally stopped thinking about Ningbing. Early the next morning, I entered the classroom carrying to breakfast, 1 for me and 1 for Shang Xinqi. The moment I set the bag on her desk, I met Ningbing's gaze. There were 3 breakfasts on her desk. Wang Dateng looked at the extra one and asked if it was for me. Ningbing had said yesterday that she wouldn't care about me anymore. Yet today she had bought the soy milk and sandwich I liked. Ningbing looked away, her voice icy. There for the dog. Shang Xinqi entered the classroom right on time as usual. She sat down, unwrapped the sandwich, and took a bite. Then she judged it without expression. Cold. Want me to warm it up for you? She didn't answer, only lowered her head and took another bite. But the corners of her lips curved slightly. Ningbing leaned back in her chair and kept her eyes fixed on Shang Xinqi and me. After lunch, I wasn't sleepy, so I went to the roof of the school building. The moment I opened the door, I heard Wang Dateng speaking in a hushed voice. Ningbing, what if someone sees us? It's fine. I'm the only one who likes coming here. No one will see us. I should have turned around, but my feet carried me to steps forward. In the shadows by the wall, Ningbing had Wang Dateng pinned against it. She stood on tiptoe and cupped his face. She kissed him once, then pulled back to watch his reaction. Before kissing him again, Wang Dateng's eyes were closed, his hands resting on her waist. This really was Ningbing's favorite place to visit. Her lips pressed against the corner of Wang Dateng's mouth and slowly grazed across it. I stood by the railing 3 meters away. The hem of my school uniform rustled loudly in the wind. My chest first tightened with pain, then gradually grew still. From that day on, Ningbing rarely paid attention to me. She and Wang Dateng became increasingly inseparable. Only 1 week remained before the major exams. The atmosphere in the classroom grew more tense each day. Everyone buried their heads in revision, afraid of missing even 1 point of knowledge. Only those 2 were still busy flaunting their romance. They secretly held hands during class, and after class, Ningbing clung to Wang Dateng and acted coy. When the weekend came, they went back to watching sunsets, sunrises, and stars together. Wang Dateng's social feed was filled with pictures of the 2 of them. The 2 of them were unbelievably happy. Meanwhile, I devoted all my energy to studying again. Seeing them together no longer affected me. I hardly even thought about the Ningbing from my previous life anymore. Before I knew it, the day before the major exams had arrived. When the dismissal bell rang, I neatly stacked the papers on my desk 1 by 1 and put them into a folder. People around me left in small groups. Some discussed tomorrow's exam rooms, while others encouraged each other. Unusually, Shang Xinqi didn't leave early. She leaned back in her chair and watched me pack up. When she spoke, her tone was as unhurried as ever. Don't bring me breakfast tomorrow. Why? The major exams. The cafeteria offers free breakfast. These past few days, I had bought her breakfast whenever I bought mine. I hadn't realized it had become a habit. Shang Xinqi packed away her books. As she passed me, her footsteps paused. She zipped her bag shut, moving a little more slowly than usual. Good luck tomorrow. By the time I looked up, she had already left the classroom. In my previous life, she spent all 3 years alone. Later, a talent scout discovered her, and she became the youngest actress to win Best Actress. Back then, I was obsessed with the posing by Ningbing. I had almost no contact with Shang Xinqi. After graduation and the major exams, we lost touch completely. The news I heard about her came from other classmates. She attended university while training and gained a huge following with her very first film. Her name appeared on the big screen again and again. Her career soared higher and higher. She even founded a charity and donated many schools in remote mountain regions. Her name went down in history as she became a legendary figure in cinema. Yet she never married, and not a single romantic rumor ever followed her. Only in this life did I discover that she wasn't as difficult as the rumors claimed. She would hand me paper and take the seat across from me in the cafeteria. She would confidently demand that I bring her breakfast with an extra egg. I slung my backpack over my shoulder and left the classroom, but saw Ningbing at the stairwell. Ningbing kept her head lowered, rubbing the toe of her shoe against the floor. Hearing my footsteps, She looked up. Her expression was complicated. It had been nearly 2 months since we'd last spoken alone. I calmly walked past her. Why aren't you with your boyfriend? I sent him on ahead. She followed behind me as she used to. Half a step away. We left the school together and took the road we'd walked countless times before. She tried several times to speak, but each time, all she managed was something bland. The major exams are tomorrow. Yeah. How's your revision going? Not bad. After a brief silence, she suddenly grabbed my backpack. Fang Yuan. Yeah. She looked at me and asked seriously. Fang Yuan, we agreed to apply to a university together. Do you remember? I remember. That still stands, right? Back then, whenever people asked which school we were applying to, Ningbing would always answer for me, a university. When they turned to ask me, she would repeat, of course he's applying to a university too. That day after school, she pestered me about it the entire way home. Back then, she was certain I would go with her. Fang Yuan, you're really not applying to the same school as me. Fang Yuan, we grew up together. Can you really bear to send me all alone to a university? Fang Yuan, please, apply to a university. In the end, she wore me down until I had no choice but to agree. Since you're begging me, I'll apply to a university. Her eyes shone with happiness. After the exams ended, we really did choose the same school without even needing to discuss it, but that was in my previous life. Aren't you going to the same university as Wang Dateng? With his grades, he can't get into a university. In my previous life, Wang Dateng only got into an ordinary university. In this life, he's been too busy dating to have much time left for studying. Ningbing paused, then continued. Besides, I plan to break up with him after the exams. I was a little surprised. Didn't you always prefer gentle guys with good tempers? Ningbing frowned. He's too clingy. He messages me all day long. She said that she had only gone grocery shopping with her mother. When she didn't check her phone, Wang Dateng called 8 times in a row, demanding to know whether she no longer liked him. She held out her right hand. The exhaustion on her face was clearly genuine. She took a deep breath and kicked a pebble by the roadside. I'm exhausted. I used to think gentle guys were wonderful. They wouldn't argue with me or make fun of me, or call the gifts I painstakingly chose ugly. Wang Dateng was exactly like that. Whatever I said, he always said it was fine. Whatever I gave him, he liked. He spoke gently, and his gaze was gentle too. I thought being with someone like that meant we'd never argue. But he agreed with everything. I could never figure out what he wanted. He liked everything, so I could never know what he truly liked. When we reached the ground floor, she suddenly stopped. It wasn't until one day that I realized what I missed was actually having someone argue with me. Someone who would fire back when I ran my mouth. Someone who would bring me down when I got cocky. Someone who would say my gifts were hideous. As she spoke, the corner of her mouth unconsciously lifted, before quickly straightening again. I've been with Wang Dateng for 2 months, and we haven't had a single argument. All he ever does is apologize and ask what he did wrong. When I tell him I want to break up, he'll surely ask what he did wrong again. So I'll wait until the exams are over to tell him. I remained silent for a long time. She still looked exactly as I remembered, but she was no longer the person in my memories. She only missed having someone to bicker with and play around with. But I had lived through her death and watched her choose someone else with my own eyes. I could no longer pretend none of it had happened. I looked toward the stairwell. I didn't respond to what she had said about Wang Dateng. Ningbing. I'm going upstairs. She froze for a moment, then asked with a smile. Time has flown by so fast. It feels like a dream. You'll apply to a university, right? Just then, the phone in my pocket vibrated. Shang Xinqi asked which university I planned to apply to. I glanced at Ningbing and murmured a quiet yes. I turned toward the stairs, then replied on the screen. B University. It was the first real choice I had made for myself in this life. When the final exam ended, I capped my pen and walked out with the crowd. Some people rejoiced, others cried, and I stood between them. Only then did I realize that I had actually taken the major exams twice. An 18-year-old face, carrying a century of life. Outside the exam hall, everyone was planning their futures. At last, I had a future that had nothing to do with Ningbing. How did you do? At some point, Shang Xinqi had appeared beside me. Very well. What about you? I was just going through the motions. I already have a guaranteed place. I praised her with a smile. Shang Xinqi, you're incredible. The corner of her mouth lifted slightly. In my previous life, she had been guaranteed admission to the country's top C university. I assumed her future would be the same in this life. She didn't mention her own choice of university then, so I put the matter aside. At the time, I simply thought that someone like Shang Xinqi would thrive wherever she went. That evening, our classmates had dinner. Everyone had cast off the burden of the exams. Only Ningbing kept looking toward me. More precisely, she was looking at Shang Xinqi beside me. Because in my previous life, Shang Xinqi hadn't attended this gathering at all. In the middle of dinner, I went to the restroom. When I returned, Ningbing was waiting at the door. She whereupon her brows slightly and asked in a lowered voice, "Did you invite Shang Xinqi?" She came on her own. Only then did Ningbing relax. "I told you. You two aren't actually that close." After dinner, the others planned to go to karaoke. After living to lifetimes, I had no interest in that. Shang Xinqi didn't want to go either. So we left the restaurant early. As soon as we reached the roadside, we heard Wang Dateng's voice from across the street. "Ningbing, did I do something wrong? I can change. Please don't break up with me. It's not about whether you can change. I've never liked you." Wang Dateng's voice was filled with disbelief. "You've never liked me? Then why did you accept my confession? Why did you watch the stars and sunset with me and wait for the sunrise?" He questioned every moment of sweetness he had believed in over those 2 months. Ningbing was silent for a moment because I wanted a change of pace. Wang Dateng laughed bitterly at himself. "A change of pace." He repeated those words. Those words sounded even crueler than, "I don't love you." "So the person you've always loved is Fang Yuan, isn't he?" I didn't want to hear any more, so I walked away. Shang Xinqi asked nothing. She simply walked beside me. Ningbing's voice was the last thing I heard behind me. "Yes, Fang Yuan is the one I've always loved." Ningbing and Wang Dateng had broken up. The news quickly spread throughout the class. Ningbing gave no response. Wang Dateng left every group chat and deleted all his contacts and posts from his social feed, vanishing from the relationship completely. On the day the exam results were released, Ningbing ran to my house. "Fang Yuan, what score did you get?" 678. She froze for a moment. After all, I had scored only 645 in my previous life. She quickly broke into a wide grin and patted me on the head. "Impressive. Not bad. I knew I taught you well. You even scored 10 points higher than me. A university is a sure thing." On the day we submitted our applications, she insisted on filling ours out together. She said she wouldn't rest until she saw me apply to a university with her own eyes. I selected a university in front of her. She leaned over and checked every word and character to make sure I had entered the major and code correctly. Before releasing a long sigh of relief, she leaned back against the sofa. Her voice was brimming with undisguised pride. "Now, we can be together again." I shut down the computer and told her she could head home. She rose with a delighted grin and took a bottle of yogurt from the refrigerator on her way out. She called it payment for keeping me company while I applied. After the door closed, she hummed an off-key song in the hallway. When her voice had completely faded, I reopened the application system and changed a university to be university. That very evening, I packed my bags and went to the countryside to stay with Grandma. Grandma was delighted to see me and slaughtered an old hen to make soup for me. I told my mother that I had just finished the exams and wanted to spend a few more days with Grandma. That wasn't an excuse. I really hadn't seen her in a long time. Ningbing called me repeatedly, but I didn't answer. Then she sent a stream of messages asking where I was. I replied only that I was at Grandma's house, and the signal was poor. Her emojis changed from angry to hurt until she sent just one last message. "Fine. Come back soon. I have something to tell you." I knew what she wanted to say, but I didn't reply. In my previous life, the day after submitting our applications, she confessed her feelings to me. This time, I wouldn't give her the chance to say it. On the day I received my admission letter, Ningbing immediately called me on video. The moment I answered, she demanded to know whether my admission letter had arrived and insisted that I show it to her. I was crouching beside the chicken coop, taking a picture of a freshly laid egg for Shang Xinqi. She asked whether freshly laid eggs tasted good. I said, "Don't all eggs taste the same?" On the video call, Ningbing impatiently urged me to answer her. I casually told her I was helping Grandma pick green beans. She fell silent for a moment, and her voice gradually grew somber. "Fang Yuan, I feel like you've changed." Just then, a message from Shang Xinqi popped up. "I've never had them. Bring me some next time." I stared at those words and couldn't stop the corners of my mouth from lifting. Have I? Let's not talk about it now. My grandmother's calling me. After hanging up the video call, I replied to Shang Xinqi, "Okay, I'll bring you some next time." On the day school started, I didn't go home. I went straight from Grandma's house to be university. Throughout the entire summer, Ningbing cursed me for deliberately avoiding her, while urging me to come back early. I never gave in. Ningbing sent countless messages, and finally said she would wait for me at airport gate B. Only after the plane landed did I reply. I didn't apply to a university. My phone immediately rang. I answered, and continued walking, pulling my suitcase along. My voice was soft. "What do you mean? What do you mean? You didn't apply to a university." "Exactly what I said. I applied to a university right in front of you, then changed it after you left." There was a long silence on the other end. "Why? You promised me." I stopped walking. Ningbing, you weren't the only one who came back. I came back too. Another silence followed. "When?" "The day you accepted Wang Dateng's confession." "Then why didn't you tell me?" "Tell you what?" "Tell you that I remembered my past life too. Then rush over and demand to know why you accepted Wang Dateng and betrayed me?" A faint sob came from the other end of the call. "If you told me, I wouldn't have accepted him. I gave a soft laugh, but the smile never reached my eyes. By Ningbing, stop dwelling on it. Whatever we had ended in our previous life. From now on, let's each live our own lives in peace. I ended the call. The stone that had weighed on my chest for 2 months finally lifted. I was just about to move forward when a familiar voice suddenly came from behind me. Did you bring my egg? I froze where I stood. Shang Xinqi stood 3 steps away, with one hand on her suitcase. Her expression remained calm and unreadable. Weren't you supposed to go to see university? Why are you here? I changed it. I wanted to ask whether she understood what giving up guaranteed admission to see university meant, and why she had suddenly changed her application. I opened my mouth, but in the end, said only one thing. You're crazy. She struggled to hold back a smile and reached out her hand. Where's my egg? I'll definitely bring you one next time. I had thought she'd changed only her destination, but later learned that she'd even given up her guaranteed admission to see university. Shang Xinqi and I both applied to be university. When Bai Ningbing heard the news, she skipped class and flew over the very next day. She ran into us in the cafeteria and rushed over to slap Shang Xinqi across the face. Did you talk Fang Yuan into applying to be university? Shang Xinqi didn't fight back. She merely raised a hand to wipe the corner of her mouth. Half her face quickly began to swell. Bai Ningbing took another step forward, but several classmates who had reacted in time restrained her. She struggled, while snarling at Shang Xinqi. Did you make him change his application? What exactly did you say to him? I pulled Shang Xinqi behind me and roared at Bai Ningbing. Applying to be university was my own choice. I simply don't want to see you again, or have anything to do with you, Bai Ningbing. Don't force me to hate you. I led Shang Xinqi out of the cafeteria. Bai Ningbing knelt outside my dormitory all day again. I called the police immediately. She came looking for me many times afterward, but I never saw her. Later, my mother told me that Bai Ningbing was in terrible shape and had taken a leave of absence to return home. Once, after watching a terrible movie, I couldn't help complaining about it to Shang Xinqi over dinner. As I continued talking, I suddenly asked her, Shang Xinqi, why don't you become an actress someday? Why? I thought for a moment, then said I'd had a dream. In it, she won Best Actress and made many acclaimed films known to everyone, and I was still her #1 fan. Actually, in my previous life, when her first movie was released, I was already her fan. Later, her career soared higher and higher until she became the youngest Best Actress winner in the industry. That's why when Wang Dateng took my seat that day, I walked straight to the back row without hesitation and knocked on Shang Xinqi's desk. Shang Xinqi looked at me and remained silent for a long time. Fang Yuan, you know why I became an actress? I froze. The only sound in my ears was my own heartbeat. She looked into my eyes. Those eyes that critics once said could hold the loneliness of the entire universe. Now, they reflected only me, because only by standing before the big screen